Welcome back to John Madden Sales. In today's video, we're going to continue on our series of young horse development with Cherry Cola. So just to give you a little recap of what Cherry Cola has done since we brought her in from the field. Last year around this time she came in, she was a 3-year-old and she learned how to be in a stall, learned how to be handled, get her feet picked, go on the walker, go in the grooming stall, be cross-tied, all of the basics of just horse care and handling. And then she'd come in here in the indoor. We have our round pen set up in the indoor for the winter because we have horses of all ages and levels. Once the show horses go to Florida, the young ones come in to get broke. So we set this round pen up with a good 10 feet around the outside so we can still ride around the round pen. And then the 3-year-olds go in the pen to start and learn some basic groundwork. I use a rope halter at first for that, and then she learned how to lunge, and then from there progressing to saddle pads, saddle, learning the bridle. I think that's kind of where we left off in our last video, was me getting on her for the first time, being led around. After the initial handling and groundwork, lunging and mounting, she went back out to the field for a break, and then throughout the spring and the summer we brought her back in for 2-3 weeks at a time max and reinforced that work. Rode a little bit more, rode on the lunge line, rode off of the lunge line, took a walk with a handler outside up into the field, and just kind of got her some experiences. Even in hand, just leading her, we brought her up into the Grand Prix field and had her go all around all the natural jumps and just, getting her a good base. Now that she's turning 4, she just came back in from a break. She had a break in the month of December, and she's back in, and we just start kind of back at the basics. But it doesn't take them very long to catch back on to things. So since she's been back in, she's lunged a little bit. We've ridden a little bit. We've ridden with another horse in the ring, which is a big step. Used one of the older horses that's in and used that horse as a babysitter. And now today we're going to maybe ride over a ground pole with a rider for the first time. She has lunged over a ground pole, but when we do something new, I typically like personally to be on the ground and have somebody else riding. So I'm gonna have Gabby riding her today. And just as a reinforcement, if Gabby's having trouble and Cherry's not really understanding the aids, because we're teaching her the aids right now, I can be a little reinforcement from the ground since she knows this with the cluck and a whip if I need it, if she needs a little help. So when I introduce something new, I like to kind of be on the ground so I can have that control and be that thing that she knows very well while we're teaching her how to respond to the rider. So at this point, really what we're looking for is her to just move willingly forward. Gabby's looking to not have much contact on her mouth, only if needed, just so the horse is very clear that contact on the mouth is either a steering or a woeing aid, and that her leg is moved forward. Now, she's pairing the cluck with her leg aid because the horse needs to understand that leg means forward. But at this point, really what the horse knows for sure is cluck means go, because when we lunge, that's how we train them. Cluck means go forward, and so Gabby's gonna pair that with her leg aid and eventually test it out and not cluck and just squeeze and see if she can get that same forward reaction. I'm here on the ground in case Cherry doesn't have a good forward reaction. I have myself in the center of the ring kind of standing by to be an aid from the ground so Cherry understands what's needed. And if she doesn't have a good enough reaction, I'm prepared to help her understand that she needs to have a reaction. Good, so come on down here, make a big circle. Maybe a little half ball down there just to get her listening. And as you come in front of me, you're gonna ask as you go into that corner. Good, now just gonna stay light. Push a little there, maybe a little pop. Good. Good. Push her through this turn. Good. And then whoa. Little half ball and then give right away. Good. Come around, pen, change direction. Good. And then same thing, you're gonna make a circle here. And as you come, maybe wait just so the distraction of the walker, just push her around through the walk. We're gonna ask after walker. Good. Good. That was great. I don't know if she listened to your leg or my cluck more, but she listened. Good. Push her a little there. Very good. Little push, little push. Good. And then back into trot. Excellent. Maybe change directions again after the brown pen and then ask her to walk. Great. Really good. Okay, so now we're going to introduce the ground pole with the riders. I'm just going to have Gabby walk over this pole here. Try to give the horse every opportunity to do the right thing. Good. And then praise her when she does it well. Then you can go down and do a little half turn down there, Gabby, and come back. I wouldn't have her just start by going to trot over it. Even though this horse has lunged over ground poles, it can be a little bit different when there's a rider. So just take everything really slow, very basic, and making sure that Gabby's being very clear with her aids and her reward. Leg means go, and the horse needs to listen. A little feel on her mouth, she needs to slow down or steer, and then Gabby will give, and that will be the reward. Here, giving her a nice loop in the rein and letting her find her own way over the pole. That's great. Now I'm going to have her pick up a trot and trot around and catch the pole. I'm going to move it over towards the rail just a little more to give her a little easier approach. She's going to do her best to find the center of the pole, and then a little loop in the rein and just stay with her. Good. Again, this shouldn't be much of a surprise to the horse since we've done some work over poles in hand and on the lunge line, but I always like to make sure it's very basic at first, very inviting. Give the horse some confidence. You can go down and change direction, Gabby, and come back. Like to try to give the young horses good confidence building experience at first. Try not to surprise them too much at first. Good. Yeah, do that one more time, tracking left, and then you can give her a little break. Very good. Good, and let her walk. Okay, so now I've added a pole, make it a little more challenging. I'm gonna have Gabby walk over these two. I have them set maybe a hair short from a normal 4.5 foot distance. I don't want the horse to have to reach too much. And if she decides to jump over both of them, I want it a little bit more feasible. So now, Gabby, you can push her up into a trot. Maybe come the same direction this time. There you go. Good, and just try to keep your balance. If she does anything silly, you can always grab the mane. Good. I'm going to give you a touch more room this time. Good. Do your best to keep her to the middle. Yeah, that's all right. Good. One more time. Good. Change direction. Good. Good, and let her walk for a second. So now I've added a pole since she didn't seem to mind too much with two. Have Gabby walk through these. Let her have a feel, look at it, and then why don't you send her forward into the trot, Gabby, and trot through those? Good. Good. And you can change direction and come back. Good. One more time. Maybe just a hair bit of leg as you come into the rails. Good. Better. Good, and let her walk. Give her a big pat. Good. All right, so she was pretty good with all of that. I just want to reiterate that this horse is just turning 4 years old. And while a lot of horses are jumping by now and going to their first horse shows, we like to take it a little bit slower. So this winter, my focus for this horse and the other 4-year-olds that are in the barn is just to learn the basics, get more broke on the flat, maybe jump some small gymnastics, some single fences, and then by the fall or late summer of their 4-year-old year, then we start taking them off the property, getting them some experience. But we really want to make sure their flat work is solid, that we take it nice and slow. And I think that's why this horse is so relaxed and about everything, is that we don't rush any part of their development. So if you like what you see and you want to see more of these, continue to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel.